Everyone. Welcome to the Digital Insights Outlook podcast. I'm Gina Daniel Lee, Vice President, Strategic Alliances and Partnerships at Stratix. I'm really excited about the conversation today because we're going to be talking about the big announcements yesterday at the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference. And I'm joined by my good friend and colleague, Tony Glinski, who is Director of Apple Business here at Stratix. Tony is our subject matter expert on all things iOS and macOS. Hey, Tony, welcome back.
Hey, Gina, thanks for having me.
Wow. I mean, a lot of exciting information shared yesterday during the WWDC, wasn't there?
Tons. Still wrapping my head around it, but yeah, tons of information as there always is. And this was a particularly special WWDC.
So let's get into it. So first up, Apple announced a new iOS 17 and iPad OS 17. Why are these such exciting updates for iPhone and iPad users?
Sure. Yeah, let's start with iPhone. So there's a lot to unpack, but let's start with the top focus as I see it, really around personalized contact posters. So this allows you to share your contact and how it's going to be displayed on other people's devices. So there's also name drop, which allows user to easily share their contact information by simply bringing their iPhones together or bringing their iPhone and Apple Watch together. So really excited about this. This is just something when you're networking and working with people, it's a great way to share contacts, and Apple has made it really easy. There's also standby displays. This is glanceable information for the iPhone. So while your iPhone is charging, oftentimes I'll have it on my desk here and you're just constantly, wanting to pick it up or check to see notifications. But now with glanceable information, with standby, a lot of those features and the things that you want to see most often, like the time, notifications, things of that nature, have just been much more elegantly built by Apple. And lastly, there's improvements to autocorrect and dictation, which is going to deliver a more intelligent input. So autocorrect receives a really comprehensive update, as Apple explains it, where there's a new transformer language model that's being employed, and it's a state-of-the-art device machine learning language model for word prediction. So really what this means for end users like myself is just better predictive dictation and things of that nature. So when you're texting somebody and when you're even typing, if you're fat fingering, Apple is really going to improve on this with the updates to the OS and autocorrect.
Those sound like great updates, some that I certainly would use. Let's talk about hardware. Is there anything new there?
So much, as always, but let's touch on some of the big ones for enterprise customers. So first, a bigger MacBook Air, which is a larger 15-inch screen and M2 chip. So Apple shares that the 15-inch MacBook Air is the world's best 15-inch laptop, and I would agree. With an expansive just 15.3-inch liquid retina display. It's an incredible performance with the M2 and up to 18 hours of battery life to boot. So wow. This is huge. It's a lot of productivity without stalling throughout the day, having to charge. You can really be mobile with this product. So at the same time, the 13-inch MacBook Air with M2 got a new price point, dropping $100. So that's sure to deliver even more value and choice to everyone from upgraders to first-time Mac customers. Mac updates, especially MacBooks, are so portable and powerful, like the MacBook Air, and they're continuing to grow as a device of choice in the workplace. I say it every year, but as Apple's ecosystems continue to develop and across their devices, it's just huge for the user experience. So it's really absolutely second to none, and the gap just keeps getting wider and wider at every update. So Apple really stands out with all their devices as these new operating systems come out. There's also exciting new Mac Pro updates for Pro users that double the performance of Intel Macs. That's double. That's huge. And they really show what true differentiators and enhancements Apple specifically can deliver with the Apple Silicon enhancements. So the transition to Apple Silicon, it's now complete, which is a big deal. And for so many, there's never been a better time to switch to Mac from PC. It's the integration of hardware and software that brings Apple's platforms to life. Like nobody else can really do. And with Apple Silicon, life is very good.
And I think there was an announcement about an operating system update for Mac too, right? Am I getting this right? Mac OS 14 is now called Sonoma.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. So Sonoma is the big release, the new name for Mac OS. So Apple explains it as the version with the most advanced desktop operating system, bringing a rich set of features that elevate the Mac experience even more. So at every OS update, Apple shows even more that its products are even better together now with interactive widgets for quick updates and interactive reminders and things like home office lighting that you can now, without having to launch the full app, really make those updates on the fly and do so much more. And also, Apple continues to be a leader in delivering best-in-class video conferencing capabilities. And certainly more and more, we're diving into Zoom and Teams and WebEx. And what Apple is doing in a great way is really elevating that experience for users and bringing new features, not only to FaceTime, but all those platforms that I mentioned just a moment ago. And Apple's keeping it fun and engaging for at-home workers and really everyone else. Something called Presenter Overlay is going to be really exciting, where it just takes away kind of the static 2D image and really starts to make the presenter a much larger part of their presentation in a fun way. And also for business users and personal users alike, Safari is going to enable the creation of web apps that behave more like normal apps, putting users' favorite sites at their fingertips and providing a simplified toolbar for app-like experience. So for businesses, native design on Apple platforms is absolutely the best way to go, but having the ability to bring web apps to the forefront is a step in that direction and a welcomed addition to productivity. So many more features such as streamlined PDFs for quick fill and many other use cases for businesses to get more out of their Macs and more unified experiences across iPad and iPhone as well.
That's a lot. So we've talked about iPhone, we've talked about iPad, we've talked about Mac. Let's talk about Watch. Is there anything new there?
Yeah, absolutely. And this was one that I was excited about. I've been an Apple Watch, I guess you could say user or wearer since its inception. And with Watch OS 10, this is really a big user interface update, as Apple explains it, a milestone update with redesigned apps, a new smart stack, additional watch faces, and tools to support mental health. So there's really a lot there. And Apple Watch continues to be one of Apple's great tools for everyday business, but blending ever more seamlessly into daily workflows for people. So this trend is continuing in a big way with Watch OS 10. I'm really excited about that.
The Watch really is a great tool. I agree with you there. And then there's a TV OS 17. So advancements in every technology, it sounds like. Give us some insights on the advancements being made specifically there.
Sure. There's a lot going on with Apple TV, and it continues to be a really exciting product for Apple users. So tvOS 17 brings FaceTime and video conferencing to the biggest screen in your home. That's how Apple explains it. And it's great because as you buy these great systems and TVs, but you want to interact with them using the great software of FaceTime, for example, Apple has now designed that to be part of the experience. So I remember over the years, it's always been a bit of a workaround to bring the FaceTime experience to your screen at home. But now Apple is deliberately bringing that experience. And I know it's going to be a great hit. In a similar vein, Apple's making shared content using AirPlay even easier with on-device intelligence. So it's now learning a user's preferences. So for example, AirPlay will also work with supported TVs in hotels, which is really exciting for those who travel for work, for example, or travel personally. So it will allow users to easily enjoy their favorite content on the TV when traveling, with the foundation of privacy and security still at the core. So it's really cool stuff to bring to personal experiences, and again, when traveling for business as well. So exciting new features and potential for developers to bring more and more to the tvOS experience.
I look forward to experiencing that on my next trip. You and I both know there's always a ton of anticipation and buzz around, each year's worldwide developer conference. And this year is no different. Lots of buzz, lots of speculation, as there always is, about what's coming out next. I think, one of the things that was highly anticipated was some exciting news around Apple Vision Pro. I mean, I know even this morning it was front and center on all the news shows, right? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, Gina. So exciting, innovative, revolutionary. I mean, there's just the beginning of what we know about Apple Vision Pro. So it's explained by Apple as a revolutionary spatial computer that seamlessly blends digital content with the physical world while allowing users to stay present and connected to others. And it's one of those things that I think everyone's really going to need to see truly to understand how this product is going to impact the future. So in the meantime, there's a great 9-minute film on apple.com to get everyone educated and excited for what's to come soon. An important quote, Tim Cook shared that today marks the beginning of a new era of computing. Just as the Mac introduced us to personal computing and the iPhone introduced us to mobile computing, Apple Vision Pro introduces us to spatial computing. So that's quite a statement. I mean, this is, again, a revolutionary moment and really exciting to see live in yesterday's keynote. I don't know how much justice I can really do to such a well-done presentation delivered by Apple in the keynote. I mean, really extraordinary experiences that Vision Pro is set to deliver, and an infinite canvas for apps at work and at home, FaceTime in spatial, and a user interface and breakthrough design that could be created by none other than the brilliant engineers and minds at Apple that think of the user experience at the core of everything, and certainly with privacy and security in mind as well.
Well, Apple certainly does a great job every year, but I'd say you also have done a really great job of kind of summarizing the key nuggets of yesterday's announcements. So thank you for doing that. As usual on our podcast, we like to end with a series of rapid fire questions. So are you ready for this time's installments?
Let's do it.
All right. If you could be a time traveler, Tony, and go back, what advice would you give your younger self?
What advice? So I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I would definitely read more and learn to enjoy silence. I think I'm slowly getting better at this. And it's funny, I was thinking about this yesterday as I was watching the new Vision Pro. I think some of the meditation app and some of the spatial experience in that regard is going to be really interesting to explore in that regard.
Now, that's a good one. What talent do you have that you're most proud of?
Well, we're just embarking on just about to embark on summer weather, and I'm really excited to get out on the water. I mean, it's one of those, I guess you could call it a talent. I spent a lot of time out on the water, skiing, kneeboarding, things like that, and it's something that I hold very dear. And not everybody has kind of the knowledge out on the water and the skill set, but that's something that my friends and family really appreciate, that I do have that background. So that's something that I enjoy every summer.
That's great. So let's transition from the water to the air. Aisle seat or window seat?
Well, I'm 6'5", so I try to get the aisle seats as much as I can. And if I could get that emergency exit. But I guess if I'm taking a red eye, it is nice to have that inside seat and try to get a little bit of shut eye.
Fair enough. Tony, it's been great having you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining me and for getting us up to speed on the recent announcements from Apple at the Worldwide Developers Conference. Really good stuff.
Thanks for having me, Gina.
And listeners, if you liked what you heard and would like more information or would like to sign up for future episodes, please visit stratixcorp.com/podcast to subscribe. We'd also love it if you would leave us any reviews for any of the podcasts that you've listened to or any suggestions for future topics you'd like for us to explore. I'll look forward to next time. Goodbye.